Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Kirby's Return to Dreamland Let's Play. This is the 4th episode. If you want to check the other episodes out, there will be a link for the playlist in the description. And last time we battled Wispy Woods. Oh, didn't mean to start this dialogue, but here we'll read it. Hey Kirby, the lore is looking a bit better now that the ores are back in place, eh? You found 13 energy spheres. Yeah. The right wing, the left wing, and the emblem. And the mast. If I find enough energy spheres, all the doors in my ship will reactivate. Really cool sub-games, high scores. Yeah, all that fun stuff. Whoops. It's like a Pokemon Center. Accidentally restart the conversation. But anyways, yeah, last time we battled Wispy Woods and we completed everything there was to complete in World 1 and we did the first challenge stage. So now we're heading back to the world map to see what lies ahead. Level 2, Raisin Ruins. And as you can see, the worlds here will end up on each of these 5 corners of Popstar. So let's jump into Raisin Ruins, and this is the desert world. Very standard second world. This is another stage where I do really like the music, the whole western aesthetic, and the background yet again. The sand pillars, you can't even tell what's really going on. Well, I guess you can, but those floating rocks suspended by sand, this just looks really cool. But let's grab this new copy of the Leaf Whip. Now, I'm not sure whether I like this or Leaf more. They both are definitely very cool. But this one, you just slap enemies around with a long-ranged attack. And you see there, you can actually use the whip to grab items. And you can even grab enemies and slam them in different directions. So pretty brutal copyability, if I'm being honest. And here's a thing that's made to showcase Whip's powers. You can just grab that one up through the Gordos. Don't have to take any damage. And you can use this super whip tornado attack, which is basically its most powerful move. And let's run through here, whipping all these guys to death. But now we're gonna drop Whip for now, so we can get the fire ability. Just burn through all these guys. And this is another example of a type of puzzle. Whoop, I accidentally lit it. But as you can see, this cannon has its fuse lit, and it's our job to jump into it before time runs out. Of course, that time it was pretty easy. Obviously, it's meant to teach you the mechanic. And wow, that attack is really quite good. You can see, even though I had landed on the block, it still damaged the enemies. eventually we'll be getting Needle. Another ability with a highly mobile dash attack. And another Indiana Jones reference, if the wit wasn't enough for you, is escaping this rolling ball. Which I guess... But as you can see, most dash attacks actually provide invincibility frames. So even though that ball was in front of me, I could just dash through it. Which is quite overpowered in most cases, especially when you're facing bosses. The ability to just roll through their attacks. But you can grab Spark here, avoiding these boulders. Big boulder there. I don't need that candy, I can do this. Plus, I don't want this music to stop. It's really good. Yeah. This game does have an amazing soundtrack, in my opinion. Just very catchy, a lot of variety. Basically every stage has a unique track, so it never feels like tracks are overstaying their welcome, and this is a good example of that. Just perfectly showcases that Western desert aesthetic. And theming. Even though there are pyramids in the background, so it's confusing whether it's Western or Egyptian. But now, we get access to this new ability, Parasol. And as you can see, we can just use it to float down, not a care in the world. Kirby's so light that just a parasol can suspend him in midair. And it, once again, has a quite good movement option, a dash attack that can be used in the air. And we are fighting this mini-boss here, Bonkers. He's pretty easy, just a big monkey with a hammer. And that attack absolutely decimates bosses. But he gives us one of the strongest abilities in the game, Hammer. It's just a big, meaty hit. It can destroy these gray blocks too. So, for example, remember the cannon in World 1? It was one of the few things that can destroy those grayed out blocks. But certain copy abilities can actually do the job for you. So if you mess up on a puzzle like that, it's not the end of the world. You can potentially grab Hammer or another copy ability to help you deal with them. Now we've completed stage 1. On to stage 2. It's another one where you can tell they were just going variety for the aesthetics. They could have just made this another standard level, standard desert level, but instead they made this nice little oasis area. It's basically our first introduction to water. And speaking of water, the water copy ability. I love this copy ability. Just surf through everything. Spout waters. You can glide on the surface of water. It's an extremely fun mechanic. You can spout water out, use it to hover. Just looks pretty dumb, but... And it's not the most useful move in the world, but it's kind of fun, I have to admit. But of course, my favorite ability, my favorite move, is just using this tidal wave to cleave through enemies. And it actually does give an advantage once you're under the water, even though you can't use it. Our bubble attack goes way farther, basically double the distance, than if we were to be with a standard copy ability or without an ability at all. So far, I haven't picked up an energy sphere, so this is probably another long stage. Rocky. Now we get the stone ability. We're just sort of cycling through these new abilities so quickly. Didn't even get to showcase all the moves that water had. But stone is probably one of the most basic abilities. You basically just turn into a stone. That's basically it. You can use this punching attack, which has very limited range. It's not very powerful. But mostly you just turn into a stone or a statue of some kind. And the one really cool thing about stone is, as you can see there, statues are randomly generated. Sometimes you'll get a standard stone, sometimes you get a star block like that. And here's a puzzle that makes use of stone. Had to race against time there. There's a giant stone fist. Now we're underwater. Typically, I wouldn't really like the water levels, but they are decently fun in this game compared to earlier Kirby games. Now we have this puzzle, wanting you to make use of this ability. But to be fair, it seems like we could have made it even if we attacked from all the way on the left. And this is one that I wanted to showcase, this rainbow attack. It's a very powerful move. And another thing about those challenge stages earlier is that you have to know all the different moves that a copy ability can do in order to get the highest score. You can't just go in there with sword knowing, oh, I can do a sword attack. You gotta basically know everything the ability can do and how to make use of that. And there's sort of a puzzle aspect in that way of having to know, okay, what can this copy ability do in this situation? That's also something that I find enjoyable about Kirby games, is that when you first play a Kirby game, you probably aren't going to know all the different attacks that an ability can do. Because look, some of them have to use command inputs, similar to like fighting games. But once you do gain that knowledge, some copy abilities become more fun and more useful, which I think gives the game's replay value. You can go back to previous stages and use techniques that you didn't know existed before. As we come into this area here. And another super ability, it looks like. The Flare Beam. this one, admittedly, it's not very fun. You gotta... It controls pretty poorly. You just have to steer this very low traction ball of light around. And it is powerful, but that can be said about all super abilities. It's definitely the most difficult to use. It's not just spamming one attack over and over, but... And it is more puzzle-oriented. And look at that. The portal already appeared there. So we just finish up destroying these guys, grab the stars. And off we go. To the interdimension. Another thing about these areas is that they could potentially be a reference to Kirby's Dreamland, the very first Kirby game. Because for one, that game was on the Game Boy, so you didn't have any color, similar to how the environments are all grayed out here. And two, you didn't have any copy abilities, which they make sure to deprive you of in these areas, at least until you fight the mini-boss. As you can see, our projectile stars travel very slowly when they're underwater. Now we get a choice of Parasol or Whip. I think I'm gonna go with Whip. And now, the Sphere Doomers in the first world were, as I was saying, the Sphere Doomers in the first world were black, but in this world, they're actually red. And that's because they do have some elemental variations. This one uses fire attacks, different from the first one. See, sort of making use of attacks similar to Kirby's fire ability. Oh, that didn't hit. That wouldn't have. But anyways, we got him. And that's gonna be the end of the second stage of World 2. Again, another 3. For some reason, really bad at these today. Now we've unlocked stage 3, but as you can probably tell, I'm going to be ending it here, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next time.